What's up everybody, Kyle here at Let's Talk Wax, and today we're going to be taking a look at my updated top 10 from 2023 Bowman. I'm also going to throw in 5 honorable mentions because I can never make up my mind on just 10 players. The Let's Talk Wax rank system you see to your right is also very important. I'm going to apply a Let's Talk Wax rank to each of these players. And you can see here there's different tiers. If you guys want to take a screenshot of this so you can reference it later, it's going to be pretty important for almost all of my content that I put on YouTube. And these scores are based on player ceiling. So best case scenario, this is where a player would end up. And also on these top 10 lists and things like that, I really try to weigh production and career numbers over projections so I don't chase a lot of hype, guys. But without further ado, we're going to jump into our 5 honorable mentions on updated 2023 Bowman Top 15. A bit of irony to start this video, one of my only projection guys really on this list, Josue DePaula, Los Angeles Dodgers. He's 18.1 years old. He had a blowout season in the DSL in 2022. And one thing I always want to mention about DSL stats is I don't put a ton of weight on them. They are sometimes inflated, and I've seen a lot of young players have a lot of success in the Dominican Summer League and struggle when they come stateside into the Complex League and Low A. And right now, DePaula is struggling a bit. He's in Low A, though, at the age of 18.1. So there's a lot of Dominican players that are still in the DSL at that age. There's a lot of guys who still are in the Complex League at 18.1, and DePaula was moved up to Low A. I think he went through extended spring training and came out of extended spring training into Low A instead of going to the Complex League. But they skipped a level with him, so there's definitely some things they must see in the organization. He's got incredible K numbers for his age. You can see he's got a 20.7 K rate and a 1.88 K to walk ratio. His career K percentage is even lower at 15.7. So I always put a lot of stock, probably the most stock of all, in K numbers, because if players have great K numbers, they always have a chance to come back because they're going to make a lot of contacts. So some guys may be struggling early in the season, kind of like DePaula, but with his solid K numbers, he's going to make a lot of contact, and those things could take off pretty quickly. Now, like I said, he's probably the most projection-driven player on this list, and I don't like to use projection, but I watched some video of DePaula earlier before 2023 Bowman was released, and the ball flies off his bat. There's some pretty good bat speed with DePaula. I was really impressed with just the way he hit and the size and everything. So he's an expensive auto at $75. So he's kind of a risky guy because he's not quite performing right now. But he's got a career average of 320 and a career ISO of 166. But like I said, most of that's padded by DSL stats that you have to be very careful with. But that's going to lead us into our next player, Roman Anthony. Anthony is a Boston Red Sox prospect, center fielder, 19.1. Played between Low A and High A this year at a very young age. They put a lot of pressure on his bat, moving him to High A, and he's struggling a little bit. He's hitting 231 with a 128 ISO, but he's also kind of like DePaula. He's got really, really good K numbers, a 20.2 K percentage and a 1.08 K to walk ratio. So he's almost walking nearly as much as he's striking out, and that's kind of special for kids who are that age. You don't see a lot of 18 and 19-year-olds with excellent K numbers, and you're going to see several of these guys on this list, and that's another big thing for me is age and K numbers. Young guys who have great K numbers tend to have more success than younger players with bad K numbers. 4 home runs on the season so far, 12 stolen bases. Now, granted, they are between, and some of them were in Low A, and they're pretty much gimmies at that point. But if he can steal some more bags in High A, we could see a possible speed-power combo coming. 251 career hitter. He had a really good year in the Complex League last year, so that kind of padded his stats a bit. His ISO was 109, so he really hasn't grown into a ton of power yet, but the kid's only 19, just turned 19. Great career K numbers. He's a number 9 in the Boston Red Sox organization. All these honorable mentions are 2.5s for me on the Let's Talk Wax rank. There are several other 2.5s on my breakdown over on Patreon, but these were my favorite 2.5s on the list. So he's kind of expensive like DePaula at $60 right now. Luis Lara with the Milwaukee Brewers, just like DePaula, he skipped the complex league, went from DSL straight to low A stateside. He's 18.6, one of the youngest players on this list. Plays the majority of his time in center field right now in low A. I think he's got some innings in right field as well, but the majority with the position, I usually put the majority position in that slot that they've played the most throughout the current year. You can check that on all the mainstream websites, Fangraphs, Baseball Reference. You can go down to the bottom and check out their defensive stats, and it'll tell you where they played most of their innings. And some guys, it's helpful to know if they play more innings in center field because their defensive upside is going to be a lot higher. But right now, it looks like the biggest upside with Lara is the bat. He's hitting .324 this year with a .066 ISO. Just incredible K numbers for his age in low A. 10.1 K percentage, and he walks more than he strikes out with a 0.60 K to walk ratio. So some really phenomenal contact numbers right there going on. He's got 1 home run and 14 stolen bases. And like I said before, low A stolen bases aren't going to give you a good gauge because some of them are gimmies, but if they're stealing like 30, 40 bases like Justin Crawford, a guy you'll see higher up on this list, that shows some pretty solid in-game speed. So 14 stolen bases is kind of just above average for me right now, but when he gets moved up and he continues to steal bases at the high A level, that's when you can kind of see the in-game speed have an impact. Career .286 average, career .101 ISO. I think the big question with Luis Lara is going to be how much power can he grow into. It's really difficult to tell with kids this young. There's a lot of physical development still left for this kid. He's 18.6, so you really never know what's going to happen as far as the power goes. But the hit tool is there, so he should maximize any raw power that he has in game. None of these guys on the honorable mention list are top 100 prospects. Luis Lara is number 12 in the Brewers organization. He's $1. Does not have a first chrome auto on this, but he does have first Bowman cards. If you want to try to find some like higher or lower numbered refractors, that might be the way to go with Lara, but he does not have an auto. Another non-auto guy out of this list is Kennedy Corona, possibly the guy that's closest to the MLB on this list. He's got an above average speed power tool. He's a guy that could hit some home runs. He can steal some bases. He's 23.2, so he's a little old for the hobby, but there's a lot of upside here, kind of as a floor player, I think, for Kennedy Corona. And with Drew Gilbert struggling big time in AA, it could be a window of opportunity for Corona to maybe get to the next level if there's an injury or the Astros decide to bring up an outfielder for some reason. Between high A and AA, he's hitting .277 with a .230 ISO, one of the highest on this list. He's got a 24.7 K percentage and 3.00 K to walk ratio. So fringy K numbers right there. They aren't great, but they aren't terrible. They're just kind of in that mediocre zone. I like a sub 20 K percentage and a sub 2 K to walk ratio. Bad for me would be about a 30% K rate and anything above like a 3 K to walk ratio or 4 K to walk ratio. But he's got 13 homers and 18 stolen bases. Like I said, a pretty good track record over his career. .276 hitter, 188 ISO, 21.3 K percentage. So he's a guy to definitely watch. He's pretty close. Like I said, he's probably the closest to the big leagues on this list, and you know how call-ups drive sales, so he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on. Organizationally, he's number 18, and as I mentioned before, like Lara, he does not have a first chrome auto, just a first chrome in this release. Our final honorable mention is Carlos Jorge, Cincinnati Reds, 19.7 second base prospect playing in Daytona with Hector Rodriguez, who we will discuss further up on this list. There are some pretty big bats in that organization or in that level. I didn't put Cam Collier on this list. He's struggling quite a bit right now, and I have a former player that I coached in high school who plays at Daytona right now, and he didn't give me a very good scouting report on the makeup, so I'm kind of hesitant to get on the Cam Collier train. I know a lot of you guys are going to be like, "Where's this guy at?" He's a top 100 prospect, but like I said, he's not producing. I've got some bad intel on certain things that I don't want to get too specific about, but he's just not going to be on this list. We'll leave it at that. But Carlos Jorge, 238 plate appearances, he's hitting 281 with a 162 ISO, 21.0 K percentage, and a 1.66 K to walk ratio. So pretty good K numbers. He's got 4 homers and 23 stolen bases. And, you know, that's where the kind of next level, you can tell Carlos Jorge has a little more in-game speed than like a Lara or Roman Anthony at the lower levels, because he's already got 23. So he's probably going to be an impact runner in the higher levels as well. He's got really good career numbers with a 297 batting average, a 212 ISO, and a 21.2 K percentage. And of his hits, he's got 19 extra base hits so far in 2023. And those could turn into more home runs. He probably hit a lot of doubles with his speed. If he hits a ball in a gap, he's definitely going to get a double. He's got some triples already stacked up this year. So kind of an exciting guy to watch. He's going to be a little bit old for A. He's on the high side of 19. So I'm hoping for a promotion to high A. And Hector Rodriguez is another guy I think the Cincinnati Reds need to go ahead and move out of A-ball. But like I said, we'll talk about him a little bit later. Slowly becoming one of my favorite players on this checklist. Not a top 100 prospect, number 14 in the org, 2.5 on the Let's Talk Wax rank. And he's a $50 auto, kind of a little bit of hype there. You got some expensive guys on this honorable mentions list. So always be aware of price versus production when you're in the prospecting. Now, before we jump into our top 10, I've got some really exciting news. I'm going to be doing some live streaming on the Whatnot app, and it's a really cool place for hobbyists to gather. There's auctions, there's breaks, there's pack single sales. It's a really cool place to interact and talk prospects, and I'm going to be hosting my first live stream on June 30th at 8 p.m. Central Time. I'm going to be breaking 2 boxes of 2023 Bowman. I'll actually be running 2 separate breaks for this. If you guys want to jump in this break, you can use my invite link below to get a $15 credit to your first purchase, and I will put a link to that in the description of this video as well. That's going to bring us to our top 10, and leading us off is Michael Arroyo, Seattle Mariners, 18.6 years old, middle infield prospect. Now, he's already been promoted to A. He spent some time in the complex league and they moved him up to A-ball. He had a really strong showing in 2022 in the DSL at 17 years old. It's a small sample size so far in 2023, but the numbers are pretty crazy. He's hitting 426 right now with a 297 ISO, 2 homers, and 4 stolen bases. Really, really good K numbers. Probably, again, some of the better K numbers on this list. He's got a sub 10 K percentage, and he's taken more walks over a small sample size than he struck out with a 0.57 K to walk ratio. So really like what's going on with Michael Arroyo right now. Career-wise, he's shown the ability to hit 340 career average, 200 career ISO, 14.4 career K percentage. Like I said, it's kind of a small sample size. We've only got 2022 DSL stats and stats from the complex league and A-ball in 2023, but he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on. He's pretty cheap right now at $30. I think those may drop or stay around $30 for a while. It's kind of hard to dictate where the card market is going to go, but organizationally he's number 10, and like all the guys on this top 5 through 10 or 6 through 10 are going to be a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2. Another one of the younger players on this list, Jorge Ruiz, Los Angeles Angels, 18.9 corner outfielder, so not a lot of defensive upside, but he's hitting pretty well. He's hitting 324 in low A over 292 plate appearances. The power hasn't really come to bat yet, but he's got really good K numbers, which lead me to think that he's going to maximize any raw power in game. As I mentioned before, with the K numbers, it kind of dictates how much contact and power they'll get to. So 3 home runs, 12 stolen bases. The hit tool is there over his career. He's got a 313 batting average, 12.1 K percentage. I think the big question with Jorge Ruiz is how much power will he actually grow into? So there's a lot of kids on this list, a lot of youngsters who haven't even reached their physical ceiling. So keep that in mind, that these kids could or could not grow into power, but it's always kind of a guess. You never really know. He's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2, and his autos are selling right now for around $30. At number 8, we've got Juan Brito, Cleveland Guardians. Now, in this release, he is going to be with the Rockies. They traded him to Cleveland for Nolan Jones, and it looks like it panned out pretty well for both parties. Nolan Jones is doing a pretty good job at the MLB level right now, and Juan Brito is hitting in the upper minors. He's actually got a better batting average in Double-A than he had in High A. He's a really good blend of contact and power, 21.7. Like I said, he's currently in Double-A. Not a huge defensive ceiling. He's an infielder, kind of second base, third base type guy, so he's not going to be a guy that plays shortstop, or plays center field, not an elite position, but he does have some versatility, which could help get his bat to the big league level quickly. 293 batting average, 160 ISO, just really, really good K numbers. Another guy who takes more walks than he strikes out, 13.6 K percentage and a 0.92 K to walk ratio. He's already got 7 home runs kind of at the midway point of the minor league season, so we could definitely see him in double-digit home runs by the end of the year. 3 stolen bases, not elite speed here. It's more of a bat, like I said, a low defensive ceiling bat. 295 career average, 170 career ISO, and 14.1 career K percentage. So Brito's been hitting for a while. He's not just on a hot streak. And he's a number 14 prospect in the Guardians organization. Let's talk wax rank of 2 with cards selling for about $20. And like I said before, he is with the Rockies in this release, although he has been traded to the Cleveland Guardians for Nolan Jones. At number 7, we've got another big bat, Gabriel Gonzalez, another one of my favorite guys on this list. And like I said, much like Brito, not a huge defensive ceiling, and he's kind of a corner outfielder type, 19.4, but the bat is showing itself this year so far in 2023. He's hitting 347 with a 155 ISO over 270 plate appearances. Pretty solid K numbers too. Another guy, you can see the trend with a lot of the guys on this list is really good K numbers, and I'll kind of break that mold when I get to Spencer Jones. But 15.5 K percentage, 2.33 K to walk, 5 homers, 7 stolen bases. Now, career-wise, he's hitting 321 with a 174 ISO and a 15.2 K percentage. So great 2023 stats. He's been solid over the course of his career over a larger sample size. So when you're prospecting, be sure to always check season stats and reference them to career stats to see if there's any commonalities in there. If someone's batting average or ISO was way over what their career is, it's usually a red flag that they are on a hot streak. So Gabriel Gonzalez, definitely a guy to watch in this release. Number 6, we've got Spencer Jones, New York Yankees, 22.1 center fielder in High A. Now, the K numbers here are rough, 33.7 K percentage and a 4.28 K to walk ratio. The thing is, they don't seem to be impacting his production at the moment in High A. He's hitting 276 with a 234 ISO, 12 homers, 14 stolen bases. So there's definitely some speed, power upside there with Spencer Jones. He's hitting 295 over his career with a 223 ISO and a 29.4 K percentage. The thing that worries me about Jones is, how do the K rates and the K numbers translate when he gets to Double A? Is he going to be overmatched and not be able to match the production levels he has in High A? So he's getting away with bad K rates in High A, but I'm really concerned to see what happens in Double A. Elly De La Cruz was a guy who had significantly high K rates throughout his career. It never slowed him down. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting for the upper minors to kind of be too much for him with his K numbers, but the production never stopped. And now, of course, you can see what he's doing at the big league level. While he's still striking out a lot, he's still producing. So Spencer Jones, kind of a risky buy at 150, but one of the big hyped up players in this release. He is a redemption as well. Not a top 100 prospect. Organizationally, he's number 3, and a Let's Talk Wax rank of 2. That's going to bring us to our top 5, and we're going to kick this off with Drew Jones. And I know a lot of you guys are going to be saying, why is Drew Jones number 5? He's the big chase of this release. We don't have a very large sample size to go off of with Drew Jones. We don't know if he's even played some of these games at 100%. He has the groin injury right now that he hasn't recovered from. He was injured right after the draft, and just a very small sample size. But the reason I did put Drew Jones at number 5 is because of the defensive ceiling that he already has. I've seen him make some plays, watching some video of him, and he reminds me a lot of Alek Thomas His center field projection is very high. He could be a Gold Glove type center fielder. So that alone is going to put a lot of value on Drew Jones. Doesn't necessarily mean he's got to have just ridiculous batting offensive numbers. If he's going to play really well in center field, it's gonna be compensated for a lack of bat. But I think he's gonna hit. Like I said, it's a small sample size. He hasn't been healthy. We don't know how many of these guys are playing through injuries or playing with injuries, and it's really hard to tell. He's striking out at about a 28.3 clip. But like I said, it's a terribly small sample size. We really don't know what we're going to get from Drew Jones offensively yet. He's a $200 auto, making him a bit risky right now based on his numbers. He's a top 10, top 100 prospect coming right in at number 10, and organizationally he's number 2, but a tough path to the MLB level with guys like Thomas and Corbin Carroll already out there. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens with Drew Jones. Another one of my favorite guys out of this release is Justin Crawford, who's got 3+ tools: contact, speed, and defense. Much like Drew Jones, Crawford's got a really high defensive ceiling in center field. He's got elite speed. He's hitting .345 right now with a 17.6 K percentage and a 2.42 K to walk ratio in low A. Now, the thing with Crawford is I don't think he is going to get to a lot of power. He doesn't possess much raw power, which means he's probably not going to show much in-game power. He's got 31 stolen bases though, so probably the most elite in-game runner on this list, or the entire checklist at that. Career average of .319 and an 18.9 K percentage. So Justin Crawford could be a guy that hits leadoff, plays center field for years. I think he's probably one of the safest bets on this checklist. He's got a high floor, not a huge ceiling. I think he could be a guy that hits, 290 to 300 at the big league level, has impact speed, and plays, possibly silver or gold glove defense in center field. So a safe play with Justin Crawford, in my opinion. He's a number 99 prospect on the top 100. Organizationally in the Phillies, he's number 3, and he's a Let's Talk Wax rank of 1.5 with his autos coming in right around $65. At number 3, we have probably one of the top, if not the top, offensive producers right now in low A, absolutely mashing in Daytona. Hector Rodriguez, center fielder, 19.3. Now, he's a guy who does split some time center field and corner outfield, but he has most of his defensive reps in center field, so he may be a corner outfielder down the road. He's only got 9 stolen bases in low A in 242 plate appearances, so there doesn't look to be any plus or elite speed there. But the bat's definitely going to drive the car. .317 batting average, .272 ISO. He's got a 19.4 K percentage, a little aggressive right now. He's got a 3.13 K to walk ratio, but 12 home runs and 242 plate appearances, and he's only 19.3. So that's significant power for a young player who has a sub 20 K percentage. And I've been watching Hector Rodriguez just demolish for a while now on the stat side of things, and he's a guy that I really think needs to go up to high A. It does not look like low A is challenging him much at the current moment, so I would look to see Hector Rodriguez in high A here in the near future. .319 career average, .224 career ISO, and 14.5 K percentage. So the career stats and the 2023 stats are very, very linear. Not a top 100 prospect, and unfortunately, he's only number 25 in the Cincinnati Reds organization, according to MLB.com. But I think we'll see him kind of shoot up the ladder. The Cincinnati Reds have a pretty stacked farm system, so they're kind of like the Orioles. It's really hard to be a top 10 prospect in that farm system. They're not quite as good as the Orioles farm system, but they're still a pretty good farm system right now. I gave him a 1.5, and that could go up and down either way. It's kind of an aggressive rank for a kid who's 19.3 in A-ball, but I couldn't deny the production he's had so far. And he's getting a little bit more expensive. He's a $65 auto right now. At number 2, we have another non-auto player, Davison De Los Santos, Arizona Diamondbacks 20.0. So he just turned 20. He actually started the year in Double-A at 19. So a really aggressive assignment the Arizona Diamondbacks put on his lap. He's always been challenged with aggressive assignments, and he's produced pretty well. You can see he's got a career average of 279 with a 175 ISO and kind of a fringy 26% K rate over his career. Not a lot of defensive upside, but like I said, I think the bat's going to do the talking here. He's hitting 202 with a 112 ISO, so not very good numbers off to a slow start. And you see sometimes guys take a little while to develop in Double-A. Double-A is probably the toughest level in minor league baseball. And when a youngster gets challenged with that, there are some hiccups that happen along the way. You saw Anthony Volpe struggled in Double-A for a while. And it happens to a lot of players. They don't just come from high A to Double-A and have instant success. So time is on De Los Santos' side, and that's some of the upside that I like about him is his age level. He's only 20 years old playing in Double-A. So hopefully he can turn things around. Fringy K numbers right now, but he's going to make enough contact, I think, to kind of turn it up in the back half. Not a top 100 prospect. He's number 4 in the Diamondback system, and his Chrome first are around $2 right now. So if you want to go ahead and try to find some low number parallels, if it's a guy you like, that may be the best bet with him. There's no surprise in the number 1 spot, Junior Caminero, Tampa Bay Rays. He's 19.9. He was promoted to Double-A a few weeks ago. He started in high A, promoted to Double-A. There's not a big defensive ceiling. There aren't plus wheels, but the bat is absolutely outstanding. It's probably been one of the most productive bats in all of minor leagues so far. He's hitting 329 with a 275 ISO. He's got 14 home runs as a 19.9-year-old between Double-A and high A, which is really crazy power. You know, I talked about Hector Rodriguez hitting 12 home runs in low A at 19.3. And to think that a guy who's 6 months older has already hit 14 between high A and Double-A, it's pretty crazy. And to think that anybody could be hitting better than Hector Rodriguez right now is the same way. But the best bat on this checklist right now, stats-wise, probably the biggest chase, the most exciting player is Caminero. 24.2 K percentage and a 3.68 K to walk ratio. And I'm not too concerned about the K rate being fringy because his career K rate is 18.9. And like I said, he's yet to turn 20. He's going to turn 20 in a couple weeks, but he's got incredible K percentages along the way for his age. But in 2023, they're kind of fringy. But like I said, he's playing in Double-A as a 19-year-old. He's one of the guys who is on the top 100 at number 54. Organizationally in the Rays system, he is number 4, and he's the only Let's Talk Wax rank of 1 on this entire checklist, which is 1 rank below elite. There aren't any elite players on this checklist, but I've been really stingy with my elite rankings. I think there's only 5 or 6 guys in all of minor league baseball in all the checklists who do have the elite ranking, and a couple that come to mind are Jordan Lawler, Marcelo Mayer, and players of that caliber. Ellie De La Cruz was elite before he graduated. So Caminero is making his way towards that rank. Like I said, the bat's going to have to produce because there's not a whole lot going on outside of his offensive production. But he's the most expensive auto with Drew Jones on this list at around $200. And as I mentioned before, don't forget to catch my live stream on June 30th at 8 p.m. Central Time over on Whatnot. I'm going to be running some team auctions for a break, and we're going to be talking about some prospects, a great place for hobbyists to come and hang out. And you guys can also get a $15 credit on your first purchase if you use my link below. I'll put a link to that in the video description. So come over and check us out on the Whatnot app on June 30th. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to break some 2023 Bowman, talk about prospects, and just have a good time. That's going to wrap up this video. I appreciate all my Patreon level 3 sponsors and all the views. If you guys enjoy Bowman Chrome baseball cards and prospects, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything new. I appreciate all the support, and y'all have a great day.